We are getting close. Starship is ready to launch. Another round of prototype testing ahead, SpaceX gets a huge Falcon 9 contract, Amazon gets sued, and Webb might have evidence for life outside our planet. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, let's dive right in. Starship updates. Starbase never sleeps. The biggest rocket ever is waiting for its approval, and meanwhile crews are already working on 3 others. Are you ready for some fantastic space news? If so, buckle up and follow me. Following an intensive but relatively brief testing phase, which included cryogenic tests and notably static fires, the second orbital Starship is ready for liftoff. While many enthusiasts are hoping for a just do it and see what happens approach, SpaceX is taking measured steps to ensure a fully successful mission this time around. Gone are the days of concrete tornadoes and lengthy repairs. What's anticipated now is a perfect ascent of the most powerful rocket ever created, cutting through Earth's densest layers of atmosphere and, ideally, reaching orbit. A significant step towards this goal occurred last week when the Federal Aviation Administration concluded its investigation into the first flight's mishap. Then, in a surprising turn of events, Elon Musk publicly disclosed a list of all the 63 corrective actions required for FAA approval of the second launch. While that license is still pending at the time of recording this video, we have heard some rumors that it may be released by the end of this month. This timeline was also hinted at by SpaceX's Vice President of Commercial Sales, Tom Ochinero, who announced that the launch is really close. Fingers crossed. Back at Starbase, there is no ongoing prep work for wet dress rehearsal, fueling speculation that it could be merged with the actual launch. On another note, a heartwarming scene unfolded on September 12th, captured by Lab Padre's Rover 2 camera. Hundreds of SpaceX engineers working at Starbase got together for a group photo. With all that speedy pace of innovation at SpaceX, it's easy to overlook the human element, the army of dedicated people working tirelessly to once again redefine what's possible in space exploration. To those of you from SpaceX who may be watching, and I know that some of you do, a massive thank you for your continued efforts from all of us. You're not only helping with one of the biggest projects here on Earth, you're also an inspiration to many young people who want to become engineers in the future. And to my viewers, please leave some warm words for these fantastic souls in the comments. Switching gears a bit, our on-site photographer John recently captured shots of a newly arrived electric motor at Starbase. This component is slated to be integrated into a liquid oxygen pump, a key element of the ongoing upgrades to the orbital tank farm. In fact, these upgrades are progressing so quickly that we may even witness new fueling protocols used as soon as during Starship's second orbital flight. Over at the suborbital site of the launch complex, Ship 26 has been relocated here following its extended stay in the rocket garden. We honestly thought it was going to be scrapped. This vehicle was then hoisted onto the freshly upgraded Pad B, and now it's secured to a crane. Not for lifting this time, but to provide stability while technicians work inside its tanks. While ships are engineered to not collapse even when depressurized, the better safe than sorry maxim is essential when it comes to rapid iteration. We anticipate that this prototype will undergo a static fire in the near future. Moving on to the build side, there is a slew of fascinating changes to report. We begin as always at the high bay, the OG building that allowed for the construction of the early prototypes. While there haven't been many changes regarding Ship 29 and Ship 30, Ship 31 is another story. It continues to grow. Just last week, this prototype's payload bay was united with its forward dome, the upper section of its methane tank. On September 11th, a common dome which acts as a diverter between the oxygen and methane tanks was brought into the building. After its installation, which should occur fairly soon, Ship 31 will be approximately 66% complete. What will remain are the mid-lock section and the aft section. Given the timeline, it looks like SpaceX is maintaining the production speed established with Ship 30. It's taken both prototypes roughly 12 days for the common dome to be integrated. If this pace holds, we can expect the prototype to be fully assembled by the end of the month. Adjacent to the high bay is the first mega bay, our next stop. Once inside, it's hard to miss the common dome section of booster 13, which is attached to a barrel destined to become a LOX tank. In our last update, we speculated that booster 10 might be on its way out, and sure enough, the prototype has since been moved to Massey's test facility. You might be curious why it made a second trip there. Don't worry, I have the answers. This prototype initially underwent cryogenic tests back in July, but those tests didn't incorporate thrust simulators, devices that mimic the force exerted by Raptor engines. Now that a test stand equipped with these simulators is ready, Booster 10 is slated for more flight-like testing conditions, paving the way for final engine installation. Back at the build site on September 12th, Super Heavy Booster 11 was lifted by 2 SPM transporters and then transferred into the Mega Bay. While we had hoped it would be positioned on the new engine installation stand as seen in our latest aerial shots, it was instead placed on the Booster 10 transport stand. Recent aerial shots taken by John also confirm something we've previously suspected. These mysterious metal structures have been installed on both sides near the building's entrance. A pile of similar parts right next to Mega Bay strongly suggests that sliding doors will soon be added, meaning our days of getting a sneak peek inside may be numbered. So here's something special. I want to introduce you to something that's become a part of my daily routine, AG1. Every morning before diving deep into the universe's wonders, I drink AG1. It's become my morning routine, kick-starting my day with foundational nutrition. I get up, I drink AG1, I work better and with more focus as my body gets everything it needs. Every morning, just mix it with water or any of your favorite juices, shake thoroughly, and you're good to go. I immediately felt an improvement in my gut health and my energy levels have been consistent since I started drinking AG1. Plus, it genuinely tastes good. It's a drink that fits right into my day whether I am in the studio or out in the field. And here is something special just for you. If you want to join me in my pursuit of better health, head over to drinkag1.com/whataboutit right now. You can get a free 1-year supply of AG vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free travel bags with your first purchase of AG1. I am pretty stoked about how AG1 supports my whole body health, especially in the demanding life of a content creator, so give it a try and let's crush our health goals together. Turning our attention to the second Mega Bay, it appears that it's nearing completion. The wall cladding is almost up to the top and the roof sections are virtually complete. What's likely to come next are the installations of 4 beams that will support 2 gantry cranes, allowing for the next wave of prototype construction to begin. Work on the second Mega Bay began in late April, and it is impressive to see how close it is to completion now, just 5 months later. What's even more striking is the enormous scale of Star Factory, the future production hub for Starbase. The first section of this factory's second phase appears nearly finished. Recent additions include HVAC units on the roof, which should offer some relief to workers from the relentless heat of Texas. A big passage can also be seen going through the length of this section. It's likely there to allow for the movement of Starship components between different workstations. The roof is also extending toward Highway 4 and the first horizontal beams for the nose cone processing area are now in place. For a glimpse of what's to come, you can look at a similar factory already completed at Florida's Roberts Road facility. It is going to look spectacular. The aerial perspective also allows us to fully appreciate the beauty of the rocket garden, though it is mostly empty at the moment. Only 3 vehicles remain: Ship 20, Ship 28 and Booster 4. Our photos show Booster 11, but as you're already aware, it has since been relocated. Ship 28 is receiving a lot of attention now. It is likely to be retrofitted with the improved engine section purge system first seen with Ship 25. Unexpectedly, work has also been observed on Ship 20. Heat tiles were added to cover the crane attachment points on this prototype. Does this signal its readiness for flight? No. This is probably a test run for a more efficient method of tile attachment, an area that has looked somewhat rough on newer ships. Further in the distance, the payload processing facility comes into view. Here, work continues on the human landing system, which for some reason has been freshly painted white. A possible reason I've seen pop up in the comments over and over again is heat mitigation. If you paint it white, it'll be cooler inside. Next to it, excavators are at work leveling the ground to create a new road linking to Highway 4. This area will become increasingly active once Starship flights become routine, serving as the prepping ground for all Starlink V2 satellites before they are loaded into Starship's payload bay. Finally, let's head over to the aforementioned Massey's test site. There's been some noteworthy activity since our last flyover. The hot staging test article, crucial in the development of upgrades for the second orbital Starship, has been removed from the so-called can crusher. It is likely to be moved back to the build site and scrapped in the days ahead. Toward the back of the site, test tank S26.1 now appears to be getting ready to be connected to a water supply. Its position on the burst pad also indicates its destruction in the near future. However, how that will happen remains a question. While the tank could be stress tested to the point of failure, this seems improbable given that its bottom ring has been removed. Our best guess is that we could be in for another flight termination system test. A similar test was carried out on Booster 6, and it seems plausible that SpaceX may want to evaluate different explosive charges to ensure the system's reliability in case of an emergency during future flights. What do you think? Will S26.1 be another FTS test article, or is SpaceX preparing something different for it? Leave your ideas in the comments, I always try to read them. Did you know that YouTube sometimes unsubscribes you without knowing? Thanks to each one of you who checked if YouTube unsubscribed you, we've seen a massive number of people unaware that they were unsubscribed. Who knows, maybe you are one of them. Be sure to check that subscribe button just to be sure. And while at it, be sure to leave a like, comment, and consider becoming a wise supporter, a group you can join for as low as $1 a month. With it, you get access to daily Starbase photo galleries, now including the aerial and ground photos of SpaceX's progress and countless other extras on top. The next flyover will likely happen on the day you watch this episode. And again, no matter how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. You decide what you want to give. The link to our Patreon page is in the description. Thanks to all the supporters who help fulfill dreams on our team. We can't thank you enough. You rock. On to some more exciting news. SpaceX is moving toward its ambitious target of 100 launches in 2023. Following the Tranche mission we discussed 2 episodes back, the company has since successfully deployed 3 Starlink missions. These recent launches, dubbed Groups 6-12, 6-14, and 7-2, took place on September 3rd, 8th, and 11th respectively. These missions alone added a total of 63 second-generation mini Starlink satellites to the constellation, boosting both its coverage and data transfer capabilities. The 6-14 mission hit a noteworthy milestone, logging the 150th consecutive successful Falcon 9 landing. 150 landings in a row without any problem. It is hard to believe that what seems like a routine today was considered nearly impossible just a decade ago. With the Group 7-2 mission marking Falcon 9's 255th launch, logically the next launch will loop the counter back to 0. Shout out to all the computer nerds out there. Given Falcon 9's proven track record of efficiency and reliability, it's unsurprising that major industry players are considering SpaceX as a primary launch option. Telesat, one of the most established names in satellite communications, recently selected SpaceX as the exclusive launch provider for its upcoming low Earth orbit constellation dubbed Lightspeed. It aims to deliver broadband connectivity to various businesses and governments around the world. However, the journey to get there isn't what you would call a smooth sailing. Initially, the Lightspeed constellation was slated to consist of nearly 300 satellites, built by French company Thales Alenia Space with a targeted launch date in 2023. Telesat later decided to switch lanes due to soaring costs and supply chain issues, choosing Canadian manufacturer MDA Space instead. Subsequently, the number of satellites was reduced to only 198. Originally, these satellites were intended for launches with Relativity Space and Blue Origin. However, it seems that Telesat lost patience waiting for rockets of these companies to actually exist, leading them to switch to Falcon 9 instead. They've reserved 14 launches, with each mission adding 18 satellites to the constellation. Each spacecraft weighs around 750 kilograms or 1,650 pounds and will orbit approximately 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles above Earth. 13.5 tons of satellites each launch. The satellites are equipped with beamforming technology aiming to provide seamless connectivity to clients. That does sound awfully like the description of a Starlink satellite, doesn't it? Scheduled to launch the first batch in 2026, Telesat is aiming to start providing service in 2027. Usually, getting almost 200 satellites into orbit would take a couple of years, but given SpaceX's impressive rate of launches, I can actually believe that it will go online in 2027. Is Lightspeed a threat to SpaceX's own system? One might think so, but according to Elon Musk, SpaceX isn't overly concerned about competition. Their focus is on providing launch services to any paying customer, regardless of what they want to launch. In fact, SpaceX has already launched satellites for competitors like OneWeb and Viasat. Speaking of competition, Amazon could perhaps take a page out of SpaceX's book. The company is facing a lawsuit from its own shareholders, specifically a certain pension fund. The fund has taken legal actions against Jeff Bezos and Amazon's board of directors for failing to even consider Musk's company as a potential launch provider for their Kuiper satellite constellation. For context, Amazon has committed to 83 launches via contractors with United Launch Alliance, Arianespace, and naturally Blue Origin, Bezos' own space venture. The company has already paid out $1.7 billion to these firms despite not having a single satellite in orbit. So dire is the current situation with Kuiper that they are planning to use an entire Atlas V rocket just to launch 2 small prototype sets. The plaintiffs in the lawsuit allege that SpaceX could have offered a more cost-effective solution. Well, duh. Instead, Amazon opted for rockets that haven't even been flight-proven. The lawsuit suggests that the underlying reason for overlooking SpaceX could be a personal grudge between Bezos and Musk. Can you believe that? The lawsuit also warns that this choice puts the entire Kuiper project at risk. According to the FCC, Amazon must have more than 1,500 satellites in orbit by the end of July 2026. Otherwise, they will be denied further launches, although it's possible that this deadline can be postponed. While on the surface it appears Amazon might face an uphill battle defending itself in court, there are several factors that could potentially work in their favor. The main counter-argument in Amazon's favor is the question whether it makes strategic sense to fund SpaceX. After all, they are their direct competitor in this area. Would paying $1 billion or more to SpaceX for launch services essentially fuel the development of Starlink, thereby undermining Kuiper? It is hard to tell, as SpaceX has so many sources of revenue. It may not even make a dent in the development process. We will certainly keep an eye on how this corporate space opera unfolds. Shifting gears a bit further out, let's delve into the remarkable findings made by the James Webb Space Telescope. Since its launch in December 2021 atop an Ariane 5 rocket and becoming operational in July 2022, the telescope has been a busy cosmic observer. It has scanned galaxies, stars, and planets in unprecedented detail, conducting a lot of science. For example, it provided insights into the atmosphere of Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Thanks to JWST, we've confirmed the presence of clouds on Titan and captured never-before-seen images of Uranus's ring system. The telescope also collaborates with other missions, including assisting the Hubble Space Telescope in capturing the impact of the DART mission, a pioneering effort aimed at protecting our planet. That's what happens if you suddenly expand your capabilities. However, the James Webb Space Telescope's most electrifying discovery might just be unfolding. One that I personally hoped for the most with James Webb. For some time now, the telescope has been focusing on an exoplanet named K2-18b, a celestial body over 8 times the size of Earth. The planet orbits a red dwarf and is potentially in the habitable zone. Despite its size, its gravity is only about 20% stronger than Earth's, making it a great candidate for an alternative to our home. Unfortunately, at 120 light years away, it remains beyond our current reach. For now. After atmospheric analysis, James Webb identified signs of dimethyl sulfide, or DMS, on K2-18b. So what is DMS? Well, on Earth, DMS is exclusively produced by oceanic phytoplankton. It's a biosignature, potentially confirming the mind-blowing possibility of microbial life on this distant world. Though we can't confirm extraterrestrial life based on this single clue. After all, just because we don't have a natural lifeless source of DMS here on Earth, it doesn't mean that there can't exist an entirely new reaction unknown to humankind. A non-biological one. Not so long ago, we faced a similar story when supposedly phosphine was found on Venus. This later proved to be inconclusive. On the other hand, maybe this time the new evidence from K2-18b might bring us closer to the big one. The most fundamental question we seek an answer for: are we alone? What do you think? Is K2-18b the answer? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today. Remember to smash the like button, subscribe for more awesome content. This is what fuels the algorithm and helps us immensely. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. A link is in the description. And if you want to get even smarter about space and rockets, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Gantry cranes. Ha. 100. Woo. Nice. No. Nah.